So then you're now living in Long Island. You moved to Long Island. And you had children. Now I understand that your youngest child passed away. Can
Our-
you tell us a little about that?
yeah, it was my oldest,
Oh, your oldest. Sorry, your
but it's
oldest.
okay. So our oldest son was born with cystic fibrosis. We did not know what that was until he was born. And then we were flung into this.
How long ago was this? Like how many years ago? About.
He was born in 78. There was
Hmm.
no genetic testing in the Jewish world then. It was obvious that my husband and I are both carriers of the CF gene. Thank God my other children were all tested. We did, I'm going to say, have the courage to have more children because there's a 1 in 4 chance, 25% with each birth, that the child could have cystic fibrosis. And we were sincere, tmimistic, pure believers, and said, okay, God, you gave us this test, please, no more. In fact, every morning in blessings, we say, don't test me, God. And it was a journey. Other kids,
What was it like to be pregnant, knowing that a child might be born with cystic fibrosis?
you know, there's a beautiful Hasidic adage: if you hold on top, you don't fall below. And
Mhm.
I'm a real simple meat and potatoes kind of believer. And I said, listen, God, Dayenu, we have one test. Could you not test me with any more? And our son fought a courageous battle. The nature of the illness is that it gets progressively worse. You can't breathe too well. Finally, there was no more options except a double lung transplant. And the best center in the United States was in St. Louis. My in-laws happened to live 4 blocks from the transplant
Wow.
center there. So
Wow.
my son and I moved there. My husband became Mr. Mom. He stayed home
Mhm.
with my other 4 kids. And he had the transplant. It was amazing. He was able to celebrate his bar mitzvah. The best scene to me was Baruch on a chair with his doctor here from the cystic fibrosis transplant team, and they were both held in a chair aloft, and it was beautiful. And because it was such a new procedure, rejection set in, and let's see, the bar mitzvah was in March, and in June he passed away. He was listed for a second transplant, but it did not come quick enough. And then you're left to deal with yourself, with your family, with the community. All eyes are on you. Rabbi Rebbitzin, how could this happen? You work for God. We thought God, you have protexia. And we had to share with people there's no such thing as protexia. We all have our path in life. At his bar mitzvah, Baruch said, we all have tests in life. My luck, I got a hard test. Those were his words. It took my husband 25 years. He wrote a book called 8 Paths of Purpose on how he dealt with his loss and how he processed. I learned in the years that men and women process differently, and that's okay. As God made us different, we experience and we process things differently, and that's fine. Till I learned that, it took me a while. I'm a slow learner. But eventually we got it together. And I'm happy to say now, after many, many years, I have a few grandchildren who carry Baruch's name. And it's a living testimony to the idea that bodies pass, people pass, but relationships don't end. And I feel that as my grandchildren thrive and grow and do good in this world, that they're keeping his legacy alive. And we're blessed for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's um so there's so much to unpack here. I'm not
Yeah.
sure even where
Yeah.
to start. What was it like watching your child suffer? How did you manage that?
Um, it's interesting. I would like to say that I'm wiser now than I was then. I just had to put one foot in front of the other. I was not as emotionally savvy and psychologically aware, self-aware when my kids were growing up. We had many talks. I used to tell my son stories about great righteous people and how they lived their lives and how they passed. I wanted him to have that
Mm.
tool in his toolbox.
That was very wise. That's very
That was one
wise.
of the, I wasn't so wise then, but thank God.
Wow.
He passed away on a Monday. On that Shabbos, my husband and I were both in St. Louis, awaiting another transplant. And he said, "Ma, what's it like to die?" And I told him it doesn't hurt. And I had learned that for the soul, it's just passing from one room, from one reality to another reality. And that a Jew says Shema before they pass. And he knew, he had that premonition that I was clueless at that point and didn't really think that the end was near. It's painful. Listen, nobody wants anybody to suffer. But I want to say that I wish I made up this expression. I did not. But it's not that we are human beings having a spiritual experience. Rather, we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Mm.
And that transition from being absolutely human to spirit is invaluable. I found after he passed away, in dealing with many families in the grief community, that unfortunately they're bereft of tools in their toolbox. You know, it's terrible if
Right.
you go to fish and you think you have your tackle box and you open it up and it's really your hammer and your wrench and your screwdriver. You took the wrong box. So
Mm.
when you can acquire, and Torah provides us with such wonderful tools, and Hasidic philosophy takes it to the next dimension. You you're sad, but you're not. You don't have to be broken by it. There's a part of me that's what the Kabbalah says. You have left ventricle and a right ventricle to feel two seemingly opposite emotions at the same time. It's possible. You can have tears of joy. I can marry off children and know in my heart that there's somebody missing, and yet be able to dance with full joy and happiness, because this is life, and there's no promises and there's no guarantees, just how we respond to painful situations.
I'm like sitting in awe a little bit. Like, how do you get to that point of such acceptance?
The opposite is lousy. You know, fighting. there's I've met many people who haven't accepted, and that's so sad. I don't need to take medication, although medication is there for people who need it. But at a certain point, I say, like they say in AA, I think, let go, let God. God runs the world. And he didn't blink on this. God is fully present in every step of our lives. God has my back. You know, when we were sitting Shiva, one of my friends, in in goodness and kindness, said to me, "You know, Chaya, maybe it would have been better if he hadn't been born."
Right.
And I thought, oh my gosh, you don't say that to a mother. But
Right.
the world would have been missing him if he
Mm.
wasn't here. He had a purpose here, and in the hospital, he used to be on the lookout for kosher trays. And when I would come, he would say, "Ma, 216. Somebody asked for her kosher tray. Go visit them." So he was the shliach. He was the emissary in the hospital. He was a good kid. Like he said, a mazel that he was here for a short time. That's it. But life
Wow.
continues. Life continues. We don't forget, but we have a choice in everything in life how to respond to painful, or not even painful, questionable. I don't understand everything in my life. And that's okay.
Mm.
It's okay. God didn't, if I knew everything, I'd be God. So he says,
Right.
calm down, Chaya. You're not God. There's three categories of mitzvahs: logical, mitzvahs that come with explanation, and then mitzvahs that God says, because I'm God, that's why. And in a relationship as well between a husband and wife, I understand things. Some things come with explanation. And if I live 7 lives, there are certain things about my husband I won't understand. So do I throw away the relationship just because I don't understand it, because I don't like it? No, I'm in it. I think we're in it for the long haul. And it's okay that I don't understand everything. It takes a little humility to say, okay, God, I'm trusting you on this.